I'd like to call a meeting in order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight, our invocation will be given by my good friend, Pastor Jim Littleton from the Holly Springs United Methodist Church. I saw you. There you are. Please come forward, sir. Thank you.
Hey, thank you for the invitation on this meeting before Thanksgiving. Let us pray. Almighty God, we give thanks for this day and for this evening. God, we give thanks that we can not only be thankful, God, but also live thankfully. We give thanks for the food that we have to eat, the clothes that we have to wear, the shelter we have from the storm, and for the people who love us. God, we know that you bless us to be a blessing to others. So may we help those who do not have enough food to eat, or those who do not have enough clothes to wear, or those who may not have shelter from the storm, or those who may not have folks to love them. Help us, God, not only to be thankful, but to live thankfully. God, we give thanks for the leadership of our town. We give thanks for our first responders. We give thanks for our many city employees, those who work hard and those who work behind the scenes to make our community safe and welcoming. God, we give thanks for our schools, for our churches, for our community. God, in all things, we give thanks and we praise your name. We ask your blessings upon this meeting and upon this Thanksgiving weekend. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Item number 4 is adjustment approval of November 20th meeting agenda. Mayor Pro Tem. There you go.
Motion to adopt the November 20th, 2018 meeting agenda with the following changes to remove item 10F.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Thank you. Item number 5 is a public comment period. Please try to make your comments within 3 minutes. And we will go to Catherine Cornwell. I think you were here early. We had a nice chat. You brought protection, right?
Yeah. I'm going to talk fast. These are my boys helping me. This is a quick presentation just to kind of follow along with me. So the first picture is our lot. I've said for the past 5 years with emails to numerous town employees that the sewer easement didn't make sense. It wasn't in the right spot. We were looking to put in a pool, and it became even more apparent once we got out there with a tape measure that it was not in the right spot. So I contacted the town. Rodney Campbell had some guys, he came out to our property. He didn't know what it was, and he agreed that it was incorrect, but he didn't know what was correct. So that's a picture of men digging. They dug 3 of these holes in our yard trying to find out where the sewer lines actually were for the existing force main. The next page, there's an enlargement of this map on the back. The town discovered that there were multiple easements in different locations on our property. However, the gravity main, where there's actually manholes, was not even in these easements. The town sewer guidelines do state that sewer lines must be centered in their easements. Obviously, they were not. So we started this about 4 months ago when we wanted to put a pool in our backyard, but we wanted to make sure we weren't digging up sewer lines and had a different kind of pool in our yard. And after learning where everything was, we sat down with Rodney Campbell, I don't know if he's here, the town engineer, and we showed him where we wanted to place our pool. It was going to be inside our fence, and he agreed that it wasn't going to interfere with any sewer lines and it wouldn't be an issue. That sewer line will also be abandoned in the spring when the new force main sewer line comes through, and it'll be moved closer to that gravity main. It will be approximately 10 feet from the existing sewer line they're going to abandon. So what we were looking for was on exception to put this pool, start it now. Our dig date is actually in 12 days. On Tuesday, November 6th, we met with Rodney, and we all agreed to this exception, the location, and we moved forward with the pool company for the permitting. They called us a couple weeks, well, we went there on 11/9 and put down a large sum of money, half of the deposit for the pool, and they had finalized our dig date. So we knew this was a rush all along. And the town employees were great that came out, everyone that we dealt with. Engineering said they'd help with permitting. Our pool company contacted us last week and said, hey, there's still a holdup, can you see? And I said, yeah, Rodney said he'll take care of it, let me contact him. I told engineering in person, and I also have an email dated October 11th, that we could swap out that property, no problem. We weren't asking for money for the town that in the amount, or for the property that they need required, where the actual sewer main exists, if two things. One, it was no wider than our current sewer easement, and two, that they did not relocate the greenway easement along with it. There's currently a greenway easement attached to the sewer lines. We're not sure because there's a lot of variation on which plat you look at, whether there's an easement on it. It runs through the middle of our property. We've had a lot of problems. If I had time, I'd go through this whole thing to tell you about the problems we've had. It's not even open, and we've had a lot of problems with trespassing, with damage to our property, dogs off leash, wandering through our yards, toys stolen. He was threatened. So we really need to get that greenway removed from the middle of our property. We've offered different locations where it could be. Now, I talked with Rodney today, which is why I'm here. I don't know what else to do because we're 12 days away from a dig date. And the town attorney, he said, and engineering is now refusing to allow this exception unless we sign away our rights to the town getting that property that they need. And we're not willing to give up that if the town does not take that greenway easement off. If the town is willing to remove the greenway easement, no money needs to be paid to us. We're willing to work with the town and do that. But because of all the problems we've had, as much as we want this pool, we can't allow that greenway easement to continue. The rest of the presentation I have in here was a presentation that I gave to the Parks and Recs Committee about the greenway easement and why it's not just me, it's other neighbors too. Only about 20 houses have it actually on their property. Everybody else is in a common area. This easement is running through people's greenway easement is running through people's property. It's in backyards. It's not really a greenway when it's running through the middle of our yard. And we've been very cooperative and patient, but we don't want to lose a bunch of money trying to fight this. The town would have to pay us a lot of money for all this area. We're trying to just say, look, we can do this easy, no worries, no problems, and now we're at a loss because, again, we're at a dig date that's 12 days away.
Okay. Thank you, we'll get into this. You said 12 days? You have 12 days?
Well, we have to let them know before because they already have a crane. They're gonna have to lift our pool over top of our house.
Oh, really?
So they have a huge crane that they have to get on the highway and do this, and they've already have it scheduled. So I don't know how much money we're gonna lose if we have to end up canceling this. The longer we wait, the more money that we're potentially going to lose.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, is this something we discussed during other business, or what do we, if she needs an answer sooner than later?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, and the council members, related to Ms. Kornbaum, staff has had interaction with the homeowner and the property owner. One option could be, I'd be happy to have staff provide you a report. We could probably get one out tomorrow to you to provide some additional background on the issue.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay,
That'd be good, thanks.
thank you, Randy.
Okay.
Thank you. Next person and last person for public comment, Hank Dixon. I saw Hank, there you are.
Hank Dixon, 504 Sandy Point Way in Holly Springs. And thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council, Mr. Schifano, Mr. Harrington, Mrs. Powell. I'd like to recognize 3 town employees who are retiring at the end of this year. Each has brought so much to this town in very different ways. But the common thread with all of them has been the positive impact they have all provided. Much of my career here was made easier and more enjoyable thanks to these fine people. First, Barb Koblich. She served in many roles throughout her time in Town Hall. She's always been the first person you would see in Town Hall, whether it was in the finance window, when Town Hall was just a ramshackle former furniture store, or as the information clerk in the Town Hall lobby of today. She was truly the manager of first impressions, and a successful one at that. She has set the bar very high for whoever will attempt to fill her role. I'm not sure if she'll continue in her role as the town historian, but anyone who tries to tackle this position has big shoes to follow. Thank you very much, Barb. The second person is Ricky Blackman, our code enforcement director. He's truly been one of my favorite people here in Town Hall. Let me share a little bit of how Ricky helped save this town. In 2001, the mayor resigned and the town manager resigned, leaving those of us in the town council with the task of keeping town operations in motion. Councilman Peter Atwell, John Schifano, Tim Sack, and I agreed that Ricky Blackman was the right person to take over the interim management of the town. Ricky took off his jeans and sneakers and put on his slacks and shoes and enthusiastically jumped into his new role. He effectively continued to manage his town code enforcement department as well as town hall. He saw us through the town council retreat as well as the budget process. He also made the recommendation to interview Carl Dean for town manager, telling us we would be crazy not to hire him. We know how that worked out. His words, Ricky's words, were always, "I will do whatever you want me to do." Thanks, Ricky. And the third person is Joni Powell. I'm a little embarrassed to try to fit in a minute all that Joni has meant and done for this town. Holly Springs has survived and prospered because of her skills, fortitude, candor, and creativity. I recall meeting you for the first time when I handed over my $5 when I first ran for office in 1997. My first thought was, I hoped everybody here is this nice. You were always very prompt and helpful with my requests for information back in the day when Town Hall was all paper. You helped me get fully familiar and acclimated to my new role. I wish I had $1 for every time I heard someone say, "Ask Joni," when they needed to get some institutional knowledge, get something done, or get a better understanding of a municipal meeting procedure. When I would chat with former Councilman Peter Atwell, we would often dot our conversations with, "Yeah, you better ask Joni, she'll know for sure." I want to thank you, Joni, for answering all my questions over the years, as you made me feel as if my requests were the only ones you had to deal with that day. Thank you for all you've done for me and this town. I'm so glad I'm not on the council today and have to deal with the void that you will leave. Many people have moved to this ready-made Holly Springs of today and do not know the people who had a hand in bringing us to this point. These three people have been instrumental in making this town the successful place which brought many of us here. I know that all these folks ever wanted was just a thank you, but we will never be able to say it enough times to match their impact on this town. Thank you all, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Hank. Good words.
Very true.
At this point in time, we'll close the public hearing and go to agenda item 6A, recognition. And it is my pleasure, hi Chandler, it is my pleasure that the town of Holly Springs appreciates and is proud of those in the community who unselfishly invest their time, energy, and talents into making Holly Springs a better place to live. One citizen recently was nominated by residents as an outstanding example of the ideals of citizenship, volunteerism, and public service. For 23 years, Jimmy Cobb has served his community as a true public servant whose only objective has been to make Holly Springs a better place to live. In his nomination, residents pointed out all the roles Jimmy has played in the service of the community. He has touched the lives of many through his work with the Holly Springs Food Cupboard, which my wife occasionally will go down there and do her thing. the Southern Wake Inclusive Playground Initiative, Sense of Play, the Kiwanis Club, Read Across America, I remember we did that, as a Kiwanis leader in the Holly Springs Happy Holidays Parade, also as Grinch, that wasn't on my card, a Main Street Christmas, Kids Appreciation Day, and the Haunted Hay Rides events, and as a public official on the Holly Springs Board of Adjustments, Planning Board, and Holly Springs Town Council. And Grinch, oh, I said that. The nomination that goes on to say that Jimmy treats others with kindness, dignity, and respect, with no regard to a person's age, race, or socioeconomic or education level. Jimmy was chosen by the selection committee of former Citizens of the Year honorees for his countless acts of volunteerism and community service. Not done. Now therefore, I, Dick Sears, Mayor of the Town of Holly Springs, do hereby proclaim that Jimmy Cobb, or James, if you prefer, is an outstanding example of the ideals of citizenship, and I urge all residents to join me in expressing the town's gratitude and admiration for this champion of our community. James Cobb, please come forward to the bench. And as, when he was Mayor Pro Tem, anytime I had to speak, he always said the same thing. Be brief, Mayor, be brief. Just thought I'd tell you that one. It's your time.
How do I follow that? It's a tough act to follow. Before I get started, let me also follow up with what Hank's comments about Barb, Ricky, and Joni. Over the years, it's been my pleasure to also work with them, and they are the finest examples of people that you want to serve the citizens, unequivocally. So good evening, everyone. Honorable Mayor, member of Town Council, town staff, citizens. Thank you for the honor of being recognized as the 2018 Holly Springs Citizen of the Year. My deepest thanks goes to the prior Citizens of the Year who nominated and elected me. I share this award with them. I'm truly humbled by this honor. My wife and our family have been blessed to be part of the Holly Springs community for just about 25 years. We've been blessed to live in such a growing and caring community. Volunteering creates a community within the community we call home. It makes this a better place. Opportunities are everywhere. You just have to look for them and be willing to act. In closing, I'd like to share with you a quote from Jane Goodall, who is the renowned global conservationist. You cannot get through a single day without having an impact on the world around you. What you do makes a difference, and you have to decide what kind of difference you want to make. So, again, thank you for the honor.
Congratulations.
And don't go away. We have a wonderful proclamation to give you to take back to your humble abode.
Thank you.
And again, congratulations. You're a good man, Charlie Brown. All right. And Chandler, you deserve one too.
Yes.
Because I know, and you know, and we know, and Molly knows. Well, never mind. We know. Agenda item 7A, request communication, Stage Works Theater, Season 2, Daniel Barth. How are you, sir?
I'm well, Mr. Mayor. How are you?
Good, and you're not Job today.
No, that's it.
That was one of your best shots.
Well, thank you.
What?
I will add that to my resume, that you like the show. That's good. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, members of the council, everyone here in the audience tonight. I'm Dan Barth. I am the current president and founder of Stageworks Theater here in Holly Springs, and I'm coming to give you a quick update on where we are. I think I was last here about a year ago, and we have made tremendous strides since then, so we just want to keep you abreast of what's going on and talk to the community about additional opportunity that's coming up to you can be involved with us. So we got our first show underway way back in August of 2014 under the title of Holly Springs Community Theater. We formed Stageworks back in the summer of 2016, and since then we've done 9 main stage shows over at the Cultural Center as of June 2018, this past year. This included our first full season as Stageworks, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a minute. That ran from fall 17 through spring 2018. We are just about to kick off our full season 2, 4 more shows coming up, and we have also formed a partnership with the town of Fuquay-Varina. We're very excited about this partnership because we're going to be able to share expenses and resources and needs and strengths, and it's good for the towns, it's good for Stageworks. We think it's going to be a great partnership moving forward. We do still currently have a board of 6. We're going to expand to 9 very soon. We have some openings. Anyone who might be interested, I have a Facebook page with Stageworks, and that will give you information about the board openings, the types of skill sets we're seeking. But skill sets aside, if you're interested and want to get involved, check us out on Facebook, and you can learn quite a bit more about us. So going back to 2014, this was the first show, and one thing you'll kind of see as we hop through these pictures quickly is the progression of our stage work and our costumes and all the things that come into great theater. But we got going with this. We went on with All in the Timing a little later on the same year. The Dixie Swim Club, a real good comedy by a comedy team called Jones, Hope, and Wooten. And we do several of their shows, very well received by the audience. Always a Bridesmaid, same writing team for that. I wrote an original murder mystery that we did twice in April of 2017, then again in September of 2017. It was a huge success. We sold out all but one show. A little different seating format. We put all the tables down in the house, pulled the seats back, and worked from the stage and down into the house. But that was well received. We have another one coming up this coming summer. Based on the success of the last one. And then this kicked us into our first full season. So our first full season was God's Favorite, our first show, the reference the mayor made to the character of Joe that I was fortunate enough to play. This was a comical retelling of the story of Job from the Old Testament, as only Neil Simon could write it. We had a great time with this show, a couple of shots from it. And again, you'll notice the upkeep and growth of our stage and our costumes and things that are going on there. Next was And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. This was a huge selling success for us. Agatha's still very, very popular, though she wrote a long time ago. A little bit of a cast shot here in one of the promotions that we had with some very talented people coming in. We continue to have talent from Holly Springs and from Fuquay and the surrounding towns. We're certainly drawing talent from other parts of the Triangle as well, and that's all good for the stage because the better the acting crew, the more things we can do, the more difficulty we can take on. Whose Life Is in Any Way was the first dramatic presentation that we did. I had the good fortune of directing this. This is a story about a woman who finds herself in a horrific car accident, admitted to a hospital, and then a battle that takes place between her desire to be able to leave under her own pretense and the hospital's desire to keep her, to treat her. A very thought-provoking show and a drama, and we're excited to be doing more dramas as time goes on. And then we wrapped up one quick shot from there. This hospital bed was a long search for me, and I'm very excited every time I see it on stage.
Me too.
Because there it is.
I remember.
And it just, I get chills every time I see it. And then we wrapped up last season with Mama Won't Fly, same writing team I talked about before, just a broad-based cartoonish comedy, and much fun was had by all. So, we built it, as the old cliche goes, right? Looking at some ticket sales, we didn't have real official records to go back on, but pretty comfortable with these estimates for Tomatoes and Timing. Dixie Swim, Always Bridesmaid, and the Murder Mystery Dessert Theater. Of course, that was a smaller opportunity for seating, so you have to factor that in. So we sat around 1,300 people. First stage work show happened in the middle of that. Some estimates and limited seating is noted. And yes, they did come. So going into season 1, you can see the rather rapid increase in our ticket sales. Definitely an interest in live theater here in Holly Springs. And we're drawing people from the local community and other communities, and that's also expanding our opportunity to bring in additional talent and grow this package from start to finish. You will notice the Case of the Kidnapped Kerbobble in the middle of here. We do a reader's theater, often with script in hand. That's one of those offerings. I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a minute. But the growth shows the desire for live theater here in town. Stageworks Readers Theater, this was founded by Keith Maxey. This actually now has 10 productions under its belt. We continue to do this. This is a great opportunity for people who did theater at one time, haven't done it for a long time, not quite ready to memorize a lot of dialogue, want a little simpler project. So we just have this opportunity for those folks to come in. And often people come in and do this, shake off some rust, now they're ready for the big stage, come back and audition, and they continue down the road with us, which is great for everyone involved. We did something a little different in our 10th show with them. We did the Storytime Pajama Party, which was a children's event, which you haven't really done before. This was actually free to the community, and we sat about 120 people for this. So what we hope to do is experiment along the way, try some different models, try some different feels, and see what sells and works best for the town. So let's talk about season 2 that's coming right up. Now, I should quickly note, unfortunately, we did have a September show that we lost altogether. We had some problems with Fuquay opening on time at that point, and then the hurricane was right behind it. So very sadly for the group of Drop Dead, we were unfortunately unable to see them in their full glory, and they had worked very hard for us, and we appreciated their time on that. So we've survived the storm, we've moved forward, and now here's our new approach. So the first 2 shows are Girls of the Garden Club. That's going to open in January. With 2 weekends. First weekend in all of our scenarios will be in Holly Springs. Then we're picking up our set. We're taking it the 6, 7, 8 miles down the road. We're plopping it in Fuquay, and we're doing the show again. Girls of the Garden Club is a broad-based comedy about 2 groups of women who are fighting for the presidency of the local garden club group, and is very much like a comedy sitcom that you watch every week on TV, and tremendous fun. Quick side plug, because I have an audience out there in TV land somewhere, or will be at some point. We're still seeking someone to work with us on the plants and the flowers. It's almost an additional character in this show. There's a lot of specific references. We need to incorporate that into our show. So we'd be happy to partner with someone. We'll call them a sponsor. We'd like to get them on stage too. We have opportunities for a female ensemble in the show with no dialogue to be part of the large group gathering when it happens. But I'm still seeking that partner in the community who can come in and work with us on this so we can make that part as realistic as possible. Our second offering will be in February. That's Greater Tuna. Greater Tuna is a story of the 3rd smallest town in Texas, Tuna, Texas. It will play on every single Southern stereotype you've ever heard in your entire life. And the real fun of this show is it is 20 characters, but 2 actors. And each of the actors plays 10 characters in the show. So the costume changes alone are worth the price of admission. Come on out and see that. Then we continue on with our 3rd show, which is Death Trap by Year 11, probably our best-known show of the season. There was a great film version with Michael Caine and Christopher Reeve many years ago. This is a mystery whodunit with lots of turns and twists, so very much in the Agatha Christie feel, different writer. And then we're finishing up with a show called Harold and Maude, and those who are roughly my age may remember a film version many, many years ago. We'll call it a dark comedy. We have to give it a title of some sort, but it's fun. And it's light, and we're looking forward to staging something that's not often seen in any theater community, and that's another thing that's kind of exciting for us, is to do some stuff that doesn't get done all the time. Annie's wonderful, but we don't need to see it every single season, right? So here's our chance to do something a little different. So our season ticket price remains the same. It's $40. We still have the opportunity for you to buy a season ticket in Holly Springs or Fuquay. You get a sense of the dates over there on the side of this screen. You do save some money off the regular price for adults, and you help us to be able to continue to generate what we want to do in the future, as we're now talking about season 3 also, and thinking about what our season 3 is going to look like. So our continued growth will focus on a couple of things. Our season ticket sales have been quite a success so far. Within a month, we sold 20 when we just got started way back when. We did 140-ish in total in season 1, and we're well over 100 for season 2 already, and we haven't had a major push yet, to be honest with you. So coming up for Christmas, we'll be pushing that very hard through the Cultural Center and some other marketing and campaign opportunities. Again, it's a great opportunity. In all candor, it's the cheapest live theater ticket in the Triangle. You really won't find these prices anywhere else. So it's a great entertainment value and a great present on top of that. Show selection, as I noted, is underway for season 3. New murder mystery coming up for summer of 2019. We want to continue to engage the local business and residents to partner where we can, where it makes sense. Increase our marketing to groups. We actually did a push to groups with one of our shows, reaching out to some senior centers and some churches, and that was good for the partners involved, and we got some additional people in seats, so that was all good. Possible theater education programs, we've talked about that along the way. We'd probably do those as free offerings. I'll work that out with Kathleen, who's been our excellent partner at the Cultural Center, and I'd be remiss if I didn't note that. She's a big part of our success, and we enjoy working with her very much. And then we need to grow and stabilize our volunteer programs, so through a couple of opportunities with our board and other things, we'll be reaching out on that. And then we want to think out of the box. So maybe we'll be thinking about a musical here somewhere along the way. Production costs of musicals are quite a bit more, but we'll see what we can figure out. There's some smaller musicals, some smaller shows and gigs we could do in a venue that would work on the stage over there. And that's where we are. Tremendous growth. We're very excited. We're very pleased to be in Holly Springs, and we're looking forward to what the future brings. And I just want to open the opportunity for any questions that the council might have.
I didn't know the Cultural Arts Center got that big.
It's our last standing ovation. There it is.
You're trying to fool us, aren't you, Daniel?
Well, it's part of
I'm
the theater.
It's all mirrors.
Yeah.
That's right.
Dan, I was wondering if you could email us a kind of more of a digital copy of the shows that you just showed us that are coming up for this
Sure.
season 2. That way, for me, I can just share it on my Facebook groups. It's a little bit easier. I mean, I get the texts and things like that, but if you wouldn't mind emailing us kind of a pretty version of it, and be more than happy to send it out.
We appreciate your assistance on that. We'll be
And
happy
how
to
to
get
get
that to you.
tickets.
What's
Refresh.
that?
How to get tickets,
Yeah, how to
And how to get
caution
tickets, yeah.
tickets,
which
how to
you
get-
had on here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the easier to make it for people to do this, the better.
Absolutely. We have some of that on the Facebook. It's also on the Holly Springs website
Website,
page
right.
as well. But
Right.
we'll get you some additional information, and we'll take you up on your offer to help us
Yeah.
push it.
Put it on our neighborhood websites, the HOA pages, things like that, just
Okay.
because a lot of people are like, oh, I forgot that was there. If we can send them a quick, hey, this is coming up, that'd be great.
That's much appreciated. And we found that Facebook has been an excellent marketing arm for us. As we built the page and continue to push out from it, the hits are coming back heavier and heavier. So every time we can push off to additional pages, that helps our cause as well.
Do you have a Twitter account for it, Stageworks
Not
also?
Twitter, no, not at this point. We're going to have someone kind of take over social media soon, and probably think about expanding into Instagram and some other programs and see what else we can do to build that. Right now, Facebook has been the core, but we may be looking at more.
Sure. Great.
Okay?
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
Did a great
Appreciate your
job.
time.
Thanks.
Love the shows. Welcome. Agenda item 8A, public hearing, Rogers Street right-of-way closing. Rachel Jones, wherever you are, there you are. Hello.
Good evening.
Good
Oh,
evening.
I'm really close, I feel like. Let's see, let's go back one. All right, so this is brought before you tonight to abandon a small portion of Rogers Street right-of-way as part of the realignment and extension of Rogers Street. That was a part of the approved Town Hall Commons Master Plan project. And the requested action is to close the public hearing and act on the resolution. This is a map of the location of the portion of right-of-way that is in need of abandonment. So it's this shaded triangle here. You can see on the north side of Rogers Street, and this is Rogers Street in this location. And then here we have Raleigh Street on the west, which is in the process of closure, Grigsby Avenue to the east, and then this is South Main Street. So the total portion of this triangular piece of right-of-way is very minimal. It is 0.025 acres, or 1,118 square feet. Do you all have any questions?
Any questions or comments at this point? Nope. Okay, if not, the public hearing is still open, so we'll open and close it because no one signed up. Any further discussion? Good?
Any comments from the owners of the land that you're,
Not to my knowledge. If there were comments, I would assume that would have been part of the Town Hall Commons Master Plan project. This is kind of the final piece of the infrastructure improvements that came along with that project.
Okay.
would somebody's talked to them?
So yes, we did have to acquire right-of-way, new right-of-way from the church.
Okay.
So they were aware of what they're picking up and what we acquired.
Right.
Is
They
there,
were able to acquire it voluntarily, so.
so there was no settlement for them?
No.
And it's Holly Springs United Church of Christ.
Well, it may have been minimal. It may have been money that changed hands back about a year and a half ago. So don't quote me on that. There was, I think we may have paid them something
For the front?
for the realignment. I'd have to look into exactly what was given, but it was less than $2,000 or $3,000.
Wasn't much.
So they were aware that they were going to get this triangle back.
Okay.
Anything else? Okay, let's go to a motion unless there's no other comments. There it is.
Motion to approve Resolution 18-44, closing a portion of right-of-way of Roger Street.
Second?
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Agenda item 8B, public hearing, Ivy Arbor Way, right of closing. Rachel Jones again.
Yes. So this is brought before you tonight. The purpose is to abandon a portion of unused right-of-way on Ivy Arbor Lane. It's part of the approved 12 Oaks Phase 10 PUD development. This was at the request of the developer, and the requested action is to close the public hearing and defer action on the adoption of the resolution. We are awaiting more detailed information from the developer to describe the area that is in need of abandonment.
Any questions of Rachel at this point?
So if we haven't seen the details, how can we close a public hearing if people want to comment on what's happening?
So this would be to defer the action. The
Okay.
hearing, the public hearing would not be closed at this time.
Will not be closed. Okay, I'm
Correct.
sorry, I misheard. Okay.
No problem. I think this was brought before you previously also. So we are still awaiting detailed information from the developer to more clearly define the location of this.
Okay.
And again, the same issue. We have already opened and closed this. Again, no one speaking tonight. So the motion is to defer action. Am I correct?
To defer.
Keep the public hearing.
To,
Well, keep it
right.
open. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Motion to defer action on adoption of Resolution 18-45 in order to close a portion of Ivy Arbor Lane right-of-way.
Second?
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Thank you, Rachel. Agenda item 9A, consent agenda, Mayor Pro Tem.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Agenda item 10A, new business, Town Code Amendment to create Holly Springs Tree Advisory Committee. Gina Clapp.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So tonight we are here to continue on our journey towards applying for Tree City USA. And one of the steps in that is to create an official town tree board. And we are choosing to call it our Tree Advisory Committee. And so the step to create this as an official board of the town is to amend the town's town code and to add this as an official committee of the town council. And so tonight would be to adopt an ordinance amending the town code. The draft ordinance that is before you sets up the 6 duties for this committee, which is assisting with our annual Arbor Day event, providing guidance and feedback to the council on the Tree City USA standards. We are proposing to create a street tree replacement program and having this group assist us in determining the methodology and criteria for those decisions on how to replace trees throughout our community. Assisting in making some recommendations on how and when certain trees should be removed if they are diseased or harmful. Assisting also in the review of all of our tree maintenance guidelines. We do have a couple policies and ordinances in regards to the town's trees in public areas. And then also to assist with information and education of our public through some new programs. With this, we are proposing a committee membership of 5 residents, which one may be within the town's extraterritorial jurisdiction, and they would serve 3-year rotating terms. They would also be 4 ex officio members. One would be from town council, one would be a junior or young adult member appointed by the town council, one would be from planning board, and another from the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee. And then the Tree Advisory Committee would also have 3 officers, a chairperson, a vice chairperson, and a secretary. And for this initial formation of this committee, the town council would be charged with naming the first chairperson and vice chair, and then the board themselves will select their own secretary. And with that, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Chair would be later or tonight?
Tonight.
Tonight, that's what I thought, okay. Shall we start?
No,
We gotta-
you need to create the board first.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm ready.
Motion to adopt ordinance 1812 to amend the Town of Holly Springs Town Code to create the Holly Springs Tree Advisory Committee.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously.
All right. Well, now we have a tree advisory committee, so now we need some people to fill these seats.
That's the way this works, isn't it?
So tonight, the next step in the Tree Advisory Committee creation is to appoint members to this committee. And we have had applications out for our residents for the past 3 to 4 weeks. We've been doing some advertising on the town's webpage, Facebook, Instagram, all the different social media outlets, trying to get that information out as best as we could. And we did receive applications from 11 residents and then 3 junior members. We did have 2 applicants that have withdrawn their applications today, Tom Joyce and Jay Marinko. So we now are down to 9 applicants, and they did pull theirs because they're on other committees that they would like to continue to serve on for the town. So tonight, you're going to be making 4 different motions, maybe more depending on how you want to go about doing it, but we're going to shoot for 4. The first is going to be to appoint the 5 resident members to their various rotating terms. The second is going to be to appoint the chair and the vice chair for this committee. The third will be to appoint the ex officio junior member. If you choose to do that, the ex officio members do not have to be appointed to this board if you choose not to. And then also, if the town council chooses to have an ex officio member, the town council can also appoint one of yourselves to be the ex officio member to this board. And so the first motion is for all of you to decide who are going to be our resident members. And so the way it's set up in the ordinance for this initial setup, so we will have staggered rotating terms. We would have 2 members that will ultimately be appointed from January 1 through June 30th, 2020, so a year and a half term. You will have 2 members from January 1st through June 30th of 2021, which would be a 2.5-year term, and then 1 member would serve a 3.5-year term initially, ending June 30, 2022.
Okay.
So I'm going to turn it over to the mayor for instructions.
Here's what we're going to try to do. I hope this works. Each council member will name 5 applicants that they feel deserve consideration. The one that receives the most votes will be the number 1 member for the 3.5-year term. The second and third most votes will be for the 2 members for their 2.5-year terms. The fourth and fifth most votes will be for the 2 members for the 1.5-year terms. And then we will vote on the junior member, nomination for town board, and the chair and vice chair. Or, I think it's vice chair. Does that sound good? Okay? Sure. I'll try. This is not going to be easy.
We'll talk, we'll go slow.
Yeah, right. So what we're going to do is, let me start with, Christine, you want to start? Give me 5,
I sure would.
and then zip to the, yeah, let's do it at the same time, and zip to the junior member.
Yep, I can do
Please.
them all.
I'll try to take notes and see if I can keep up.
First, I'm sure that we all agree that the application pool was phenomenal, and we are going to have an amazing board, or a committee. So thank you for all that applied. The criteria I used was, as I usually do, look at geography across the town. I was also looking for a mixture of experience, both on landscaping, gardening, and education, because there's a pretty strong education component, and also looking at the length of time that they lived in town. So with that, in order of the folks, and I think we want to also have, actually, order matters, I don't know.
Doesn't matter, yeah.
All right, so my first person that I've selected was Gary Claiborne. And then I had Joe Fuller.
Whoop, okay, excuse me a
Sorry.
second. Gary Claiborne,
Mhm.
next.
Joe Fuller,
Got it.
and I'm happy to expand why. Well, I'm sure you all have the same.
Yeah, you don't need why, unless you want to.
I had Amanda Matharty. Matheny.
Amanda Matheny.
Thank you.
That's your third?
Catherine Penton
Yep,
and Rachel Woods.
got it.
And for, this was also very hard, picking the junior member.
Yep.
I ended up picking Ian Shore.
I'm sorry?
Ian Shore.
Sure, got it. Okay. Tom, same thing, please?
Yeah, again, thank you to all the residents who applied. Really appreciate their efforts, and this was not an easy decision, but again, I do appreciate those who had applied. The first one I'm going to go with is Joe Fuller.
Hang on a second. Got it.
Amanda Matheny,
Amanda Matheny? Yep,
Gary Claiborne,
let me find it. Gary Claiborne, got it,
Darrell Key,
got it,
and the last one would be Rachel Woods.
got it.
And for the junior member, Ian Shore.
Okay, thank you. You're up, Pete.
All right, I'll be brief, just echo again what my fellow council members have said. Really appreciate everybody who applied and their desire to serve the town. And in no particular order, Gary Claiborne,
Yep.
Joe Fuller,
Yep,
Robert Lively,
let me find that one. I'll get it here in a minute. Got it,
Catherine Penton,
got it,
and Rachel Woods.
got it,
And for the junior member, Bridget Freya.
got it. Okay, so far. Jerry, you're up, please.
Okay, what they said, also, let people know that you didn't have to be an expert on trees and everything outside. We were kind of looking for a little bit of a lot, and we got it. And I can't wait to someday expand this board. Okay, so let's see, I'll start with Rachel Woods, Joe
Okay.
Fuller,
Go slow.
sorry,
Joe Fuller. Sorry.
Robert Lively,
Robert Lively. Yep.
let's see, Catherine Penton,
Catherine Penn. Yep.
and Amanda Mahaney.
Amanda. Yep.
And then the junior was Bridget Freen.
Okay. Good, thank you. Dan, last but not least.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to everyone who applied for the committee. Happy to nominate, in no particular order, Rachel Woods,
Go slow. Thank you.
Catherine Penton,
Got it.
Darrell Key,
Darrell Key. Got it.
Joe Fuller,
Got it.
and Amanda Matheny.
Amanda McKean, where are you? Got it.
And for the junior member, I had Bridget Free.
Bridget Freet?
Free, yep.
Free, yeah. Thank you. Okay, now give me about an hour and I'll figure this out. Let's see, it's 3. Look over my shoulder, will you, Tom? Yeah. 5. Zip, zip. Correct anything you see. Zip. 2. Zip. 4. 4. 5. 2. 1. 2. Okay, we'll have to do that one again. All right, so the one with the most votes, which would be the first member with the 3.5-year term?
We have two, yeah.
You have 2 5s? Oh, I'm sorry, you do, yeah.
Rachel.
Okay, let's go backwards. We got 2 to vote on, you just get 1 vote. Joe Fuller and Rachel Woods. Let's go back again to Christine, please.
Oh, who gets the first?
Yeah,
The
who gets the
longest
first?
term.
It was a tie.
term?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a tie. Joe.
Joe? Okay. Tom?
Rachel?
Rachel, okay. Pete,
Rachel.
all right. Sherry,
I'll go with Rachel.
okay,
I know she'll be here.
that's good. All right, so at this point in time, the one member with 3.5 years would be Rachel Woods, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Rachel, 1 year. Okay, for the 2-year terms, on to, well, one would be Joe, yeah. Joe Fuller, right. That'd be 2 and a half, really. And then we need, I guess we need 1, 2,
Catherine.
the third best would be Catherine and Amanda, right? I'm sorry? I got Amanda, I got Catherine, and I got Joe, right? That sound right? Yeah, go ahead.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Where'd you put Joe?
And then
Yeah,
you put one of the
Joe would
other.
be
Right,
tiebreak.
Rachel, Joe, and then
Right.
Joe's tied.
Amanda and Catherine.
Amanda and Catherine. Okay, same thing with what we did before.
Okay,
The 2 is Amanda and Catherine for that.
let's start.
Christine, please, you want to start again? 1 of 2.
Amanda.
Amanda? I'm sitting here, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, I'll recommend Amanda.
Amanda,
Matheny, yes.
okay.
Amanda.
All right, we can stop. That's 3. All right, so that would be Amanda?
Yep.
Taking some notes on this? Okay. And then we have 2 more members to pick now? Am I correct or wrong? Or just we did it?
Catherine will go in the,
And then Mr. Claiborne, correct?
Mhm.
So Catherine
All right,
would be the next, and then
yeah,
Mr. Claiborne would be the other.
all right. Yep. Okay. Did you get all that,
You
Joe?
want to get a recap on that?
Yes, please.
okay.
Yeah, somebody.
hear any of it.
Okay,
All right,
you got it?
I believe I do.
okay.
So, as
I'll
the,
double check as you go. Kind of.
so we have Rachel Woods, correct? As the number 1?
Right, yep,
And then the next 2 are Mr. Joe Fuller
right,
and Amanda Matheny.
right.
And then the next 2 would be Karen, what's it?
Catherine Penton.
Catherine
Catherine and
Catherine
Gary.
Penton?
Penton
Penton.
Is it Penton? Yeah, okay.
and Gary Claiborne, correct?
I think that's it,
I have
All right.
my,
right? We all
Yeah,
agree?
Tony? Yes. Awesome.
got that?
Okay, terrific. As it relates to the junior member, we have a tie there too, between Bridget,
No, I think Bridget-
Bridget has 3,
Yep.
and
Yes.
Ian.
then I missed one. Okay,
Yeah.
then it's Bridget.
Yep.
I missed one, okay, thank
That'd be
you.
good, she has Arbor Day
Yep, okay,
background.
all right. Then we want to go, that's the junior member. Then what's next
Do
is the.
Do you need to make a motion to
do
officially
it now?
appoint her? You
Okay, we can.
You can go ahead,
Uh,
while you're there.
Motion to appoint the following as the junior young adult ex officio member of the Tree Advisory Committee, Bridget Freen.
All right,
Second.
motion made, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Chairperson and vice chair. Let's start with the right again.
Rachel for chairperson.
We could do the top 2.
Yeah.
Top 2? Yeah, and either
Rachel
way,
Chair.
I'm fine either way with them, it's up to you guys.
Rachel Woods
Right.
as the chairperson,
And Joe,
and Joe Fuller as the
vice
vice
chairperson.
chairperson.
Okay?
Yep.
Got it, Joni? Yes. Okay,
Motion to appoint the following as chairperson and vice chairperson of the Tree Advisory Committee. Chairperson Rachel Woods, and Vice Chairperson, Joe Fuller.
Yep.
Second.
Motion made, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Thank you. And on this one, looking for a volunteer. Anyone interested in town council on this particular position? I'm listening.
I don't think we had, we were offered this position. I thought it was just 5. Correct me if I'm wrong.
What's that?
It's ex officio, so it's just one of us to represent the council on
okay.
on the
Kinda
committee.
like a
It's not a, right, not a voting
Ex-official
role.
member of the tree advisory
Um,
from the council.
I mean, I'm going to nominate Christine, I mean, because
Yeah.
she has been the most passionate and has brought this all forward, so I think that would be, for me, that's my choice.
Consensus?
I'd be honored, and given the weight of all the other things that you guys do, I would love to do this.
Okay.
I'll make a second on that.
Motion been made, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Christine, hello? What did we miss? Anything?
Nothing, you've got it all.
I think we do need a motion on the
first
5.
The 5.
Okay.
We missed that one?
Oh, we didn't do a
Okay.
motion,
All right.
Go
sorry.
back on that one?
Yes, please. I have it all down, just need you to make the official motion for Catherine Penton and Gary Claiborne to 1.5-year terms, Joe Fuller and Amanda Matheny to 2.5-year terms, and Rachel Woods to a 3.5-year term.
That's what I got.
So moved.
Yeah,
Everybody agree?
so moved.
Second.
Motion been made, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously.
Who did that?
And next year, we'll have a CPA do this.
Really?
But he left.
Pete had this up.
Jimmy's a CPA.
Yeah, no.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
If I could just for a second, I want to congratulate and thank you and the council members for your leadership and hard work on this topic. You've worked on this for a number of months, and appreciate all the input and guidance that you have provided. I also want to thank Gina Clapp and the planning staff, who've also, on the staff side, have done a lot of work to try to capture those sentiments and direction, the direction. And they've done a great job, and really want to thank you and the staff for those efforts.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, we're looking forward to it. It's going to be a new adventure.
And I might add, just one last thing, that planning will be the representative department that will support the committee.
Okay. Thank you. Agenda item 10C, new business, community development software purchase. Jeff Wilson.
Good evening.
Good evening, Jeff.
Been a long time since I've been up here.
Glad to have you back.
So the purpose of this agenda item is to request your approval tonight to replace our community development software and enter into a contract with Harris Computer Corporation for the purchase of this software to CityView. So what is community development software? Pretty much it manages the day-to-day operations of our planning and zoning, engineering, and code enforcement departments. And it facilitates their project submittal, the plan review, permitting, and the inspections. So pretty much it is their main system that they use on a daily basis. It supports the interactions between the town and developers, builders, trades, and the citizens. So what was our project objective? Number one objective was to promote citizen engagement, which is simplified over our current system, and enhance transparency during the development and permitting process, improve efficiencies through automated workflows for staff and for tradespeople and developers, track permitting and inspections, and provide a robust mobile access for internal and external users, which has been in high demand between developers, builders, trades, and staff in general. So what brought us to this point? Well, in 2017, we had an enterprise resource planning and ERP study completed. That was done by the School of Government. And what came out of that was it confirmed that our current software for community development had a lot of deficiencies. It wasn't supporting the needs of the staff and the community. At the recommendation of the School of Government, we created a committee that was formed to look at the software options that was made up of the development departments, IT, and the administration department. So after a long time of working on this, in May 11th of 2018, we released an RFP. And that came back a month later with, we had live software presentations on July of 2018 to all the members of the committee. Funding for this project, because it is a large project, was planned to span across 2 fiscal years. It's a year-long project, so it's a good starting period now, starting in the middle of the year and then rolling into the next one. So what is some of our current challenges with our software? One of them, software is not meeting the needs or expectations. One of the problems that we have with that is that our current system that we have was purchased by another company who had a competing product, and they stopped development on the features sets that we needed for the application. They wanted us to move to their product instead of staying on the current product. It was also chosen over 10 years ago. It's pretty much met its life cycle on the needs of the town. And we also, when it was purchased, it was also not fully mature at the time. So it never has fully matured. And then once the software company was purchased, they stopped maturing that product even further. The modules do not integrate, so it prevents interdepartmental collaboration. And we have build and release issues there, and it's difficult to maintain an inadequate vendor support. An example of that is about 2 weeks ago, we had a major update that worked fine in our training environment, but when it went to live, IT staff had to stay until 2 a.m. to work on the issue to get it live, and it still was not resolved, and we couldn't get help from the company until 8 a.m. the next day. But the problem with that was they could not find the expertise within the company to solve the problem. So we were down for the full system across the whole town until around lunchtime that day before we got it back up. And since then, we've spent dozens of hours within the staff time and within development staff time doing workarounds, trying to get around issues with the development process. It's just a strong example of the issues that we've had with the current application and the current company that we have it through. It has poor user experience across the board. And one of the problems is it requires multiple workarounds, which, as you probably all know, using the spreadsheets and doing workarounds is going to cause a lot of human error. They're very good and very careful, so I'm not saying there is human error, but it leaves room to open in human error. Oops. I trying to be brief. Promised the mayor I'd be short. So one of the some of the benefits of the new software, it's going to improve transparency for internal and external users. It'll have a new portal that will allow users to track the status of their submittals online. It also is intuitive and facilitates collaboration. That is something our new current software does not have. It does not allow for parallel review processes across the board. A lot of that is done in workaround processes. It creates a paperless process with electronic plan review. We're trying to take in less paper downstairs. I don't know if you've ever seen the basement of this building and how much paper is stored down there. We're trying to reduce that and do a lot more electronic review and returning plans to developers and the development community in a electronic marked up format, which they actually prefer over getting the paper copies back. It's going to establish submittal consistency with a robust online portal. Each department right now has some form of online submittal, but all 3 departments have a different process for it because our current software does not support any other process except for our permitting department. It's going to have robust mobile inspections. That's very important. We've actually had issues with that since our current update of having inspections done in the field. So we're looking forward to having some reliability in that sense, and the staff is too. It's going to eliminate workarounds and boost our data management and reporting accuracy. That's very important. So whenever you all call and need information, hopefully it can be provided more timely and the reports can come out more cleanly with less data massaging just based off the fact that we're using spreadsheets for a lot of this tracking. So hopefully we will do some of that human error and some of that extra data checking that has to go on. One of the requirements was that it would integrate with some of our existing applications. That's, again, something that the current software does not do. It does not support our PDF markup tools. It does not support our document management system, and it does not support any of the current Microsoft Office tool sets like Word and Excel. And it's going to have the ability any product that we looked for, and especially the one that we're proposing, have the ability to modify processes to meet the town's future needs. This is a night, we actually went to Johnson City, Tennessee, where they have this product in place, and we're one of the early adopters, just to see how it was see their whole process, what they dealt with from implementation point to what they do today. And it was a night and day difference above what we currently do with the process. It was more, if you had to change a process, it was more of a drag and drop, change your flow of work. It's something our current software does not meet. It's something that is done in a manual process whenever something has to be changed. So here's the number. The total cost of the software is $462,729. And this current fiscal year, we have $250,000 budgeted towards this project. That'll pretty much take us through until through June with getting the implementation started. And the rest of it would need to be budgeted in the 1920 budget year. It's $212,729. And that will take us to the completion of the project and go live. And the pricing of all the proposals, we received 7 of them, was pretty consistent across the board, except for one outlier that didn't even meet the needs of what we requested in the RFP. And just so you know that the product that we're proposing is not the product that is from the company that bought the company that we currently have. We decided not to use their product because of price. And because of complaints that we'd heard of implementations from other municipalities around us who have had this software. So the next steps is contract with Harris Computer Corporation for the purchase and implementation of the product called CityView. And the implementation is probably going to take about 1 year. That's their estimation, and they were pretty, and that's pretty consistent across the board with municipalities that we checked with. And this is actually a first step, and I think in the budget meeting they talked about this briefly. This is the first step of an overhaul of our ERP system for the town. Our ERP system is pretty antiquated, and that actually involves the financial management, utility management, and the HR management tools. And because we have a full integrated ERP system, this community development software is one piece of it. It's kind of the top layer that has to come off of this stack first for us to start tackling these lower down pieces, and it's going to take a couple of years to do that. So there's your motion, and I'm happy to take any questions. I know it's an exciting topic.
And before the motion, anyone having questions or concerns or ideas, whatever? Let's ask them now.
Is there an ongoing maintenance cost to provide support?
Yes, it's about $60,000 a year. And that's pretty common across the board on this.
That's kind of what we've been paying.
Correct.
What was the 36 they quoted in there for the maintenance? Was that just half of it?
That was the first year.
Just the first year?
Yeah,
and
and
then it'd be more after that?
If it's 36, you're looking at the agenda item. So 60,000 was the other product. If you're seeing 36,000, that's what it is. I'm sorry.
Whatever was the contract addendum had that that's where I got the 36.
If it's got the 36,000 in it, then you're correct.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I misspoke.
Okay.
Jeff, in regards to the payment schedule,
Mhm.
is that something that, it's $250,000 initially, and then next year, how does that work?
It's pretty much, we have some upfront costs. I'm sorry if I didn't put the payment schedule in the agenda item. There's some upfront costs we'll have to pay, but then we'll gradually actually pay down on that $250,000 up until the June timeframe as those services are used. Same thing will happen starting in July. If we get approved for the $212,000 to continue, we'll draw down on that as we use their services for implementation.
The upfront cost is your licenses, and then the services are billed ratably over the
Correct.
term until June, right?
Correct.
Jeff, I know you and your team have worked on this for a long time, so.
It's been about a year that we've been working on
Yeah.
this project just to get to this point of the presentation. And it's going to be another long year, but it's going to be worth it. And the community development departments, the fact that for our meetings, we get everybody engaged, everybody comes to the meetings, they are interested in this. It's an obvious sign that this is very much needed for these departments to move forward, and they're pretty excited about this.
Is this an on-premise installation or
It
is
is
this
an
cloud?
on-premise
It is there a
installation.
cloud?
There is a
version
cloud
in
with just
the-
additional fee. Pretty much it's the exact same product. They would just host it in their data center.
Okay.
We didn't see any benefit in doing that since with our robust data center that we have here.
Okay.
Your bullet on the first step and the overall retooling of our ERP system. How is this software compatible with any other future product if we go down a different road with an enterprise-wide ERP different than what we have today? How would this integrate into that?
We required that the product has what's called API access, which will allow us in the back end to tie together the databases. And it's work that's going to have to occur, and depends on the product that we end up purchasing, because we'll do an RFP on a financial management package again at some point, and part of that RFP will be that we have City View Community Development that'll need to pass cashiering information back and forth. So we may not necessarily know that until such time, but it's definitely going to be a requirement in the RFP that they integrate together.
Okay.
We have seen that a little bit this over-integration with this current software, and it breaks things whenever we do an update.
Thanks.
When you talked about external users, these are named, like, this is for the developer audience,
It's a
right?
developer audience, but it also, I don't know if any of you have been on the town website. We've got the citizen complaint portal kind of thing where you can submit a complaint. It's not very robust. It's not very pretty. That is actually through our current community development software. And as we replace it, obviously that's going to go away. But this product, City View, also has that same tool in there, and we've actually seen the demonstration, how it's used. It's a lot more fluid, a lot more user-friendly for the residents when they submit requests for actions to the town. So we think that it's going to be a lot better user experience for the community.
So talk about that. So is that an app or a website that they
It's a
go to?
website. It's built on.
It's a website.
It'd be embedded into our town website.
Would that be instead of a 311 system?
Yeah, so I think, and I won't speak for Jeff, but I think what Jeff is saying is that it does give us a little bit better tool than what we have now, but for a full, robust 311 system, we'd have to look to another type of system to fulfill that need, if council were to desire to go forward on that.
Okay, so that's not the primary reason we're getting this tool. It's,
Correct,
okay,
correct.
It's a side benefit, having
It's a okay.
the community access side of it.
okay.
And it was pretty nice when we saw it, so I'm looking
Right.
forward to seeing that implemented.
The reason I'm asking is we already have one app for the water, another, I mean, I want to see we don't want our residents to have 10 different apps to do
Right.
different things, so that's part of, I'm sure.
And this won't actually be an app, it'll be embedded on the town website.
On
Would
the
it be a
website.
mobile version too, so that you can see it on the mobile site?
Okay.
Okay.
And I think, and Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, but when we say the users, those would be the users that are part of the development process.
Yeah, correct.
Not just general community members inquiring about certain town issues. So again,
Correct.
that's why a separate system would be required to do something more robust around a 311 type system.
But I thought he just said it was replacing
It is replacing our current one, yes.
the current
And
one system for general residents for
Correct.
now,
Yes.
as a stopgap until we get another tool.
Correct.
It's a larger.
Yeah,
Okay.
and when there's other products that are on the market. There's C-Click Fix, there's other things that integrate into our systems. I did check with the company, and they have support for a lot of these other third-party applications. So does our Public Works software that we use already.
Okay.
They have support for third-party products to submit work orders for Public Works. So it's going to be, there's going to be some planning that has to go ahead if we do a 311 solution, but it's definitely, it's a part of it to do some self-utilization by the residents for it. But then, of course, it helps the developer community, the builders trades. and-
Right, that's primarily where we're getting it.
Correct.
Okay.
Other questions or comments? Yes? Nope. No? So I want to hit the motion, please.
Motion to award contract to Harris Computer Corporation to replace town's community development software in the total amount of $462,729, including software costs and implementation services, to be funded with $250,000 from the current fiscal year and $212,729 from the future fiscal year 2019-2020.
Second.
Motion made, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Thank you, Jeff, good job.
Thank you guys very much.
Appreciate it. Agenda item 10D, new business, NC 55 Super Street at Sportsman's Way, construction contract. Mary DePina. Hi, Mary.
Okay, so I'm here to ask you to consider the construction and CEI contracts in order to move forward with the construction phase of the Sportsmanship Way connection to Highway 55. Before I move on, CEI stands for Construction, Engineering, and Inspection, and that is done by a firm to oversee construction to make sure that it is done in accordance with our plans and specifications. So Sportsmanship Way, right now, Sportsmanship Way is led from Main Street into Ting Park. It's the main entrance into Ting Park. And this project would make a connection to the bypass here with a signalized intersection right here and a signalized intersection here at the turnaround. And of course, this configuration mimics other intersections we have in the corridor. This intersection really is needed. If you see, down here is Holly Springs Road, and up here is Sunset Lake Road, and there are no east-west connections currently. And so this would be a much desirable connection that would help to improve circulation and reduce congestion in the area. So before we can move forward with the construction phase, there are 3 things that need to happen. We need to have an executed supplemental municipal agreement with NCDOT. NCDOT has to issue bid concurrence, and town council, and we request town council approve the award of the contracts for construction and CEI. The supplemental agreement, we bid this project 2 times. The first time, we only got 1 bid, and because it's a formal bid, we just returned the unsealed bid back to the contractor, and then we re-advertised the project, and we did get 3 bids this time, which is what was required for a formal bid. And Fred Smith Company came in the low bidder. Because this is a LAP project, we have to send everything to DOT for approval. So we sent all the bid documentation to them, and they questioned why the bid amount was 31% higher than the engineer's estimate. And so we went back and looked at that. And of course, the engineer went back and DOT required them to make some justifications, which they did. They made some very good points, and those are actually in the award letter that you have in the recommendation to award letter that you have in your packets. But in addition to that, we did our own research and pulled some bid tabs from NCDOT's websites. Now, you all are probably aware that the economy is pretty good right now. And, evidenced by the fact that it's difficult to get contractors to bid on projects these days, they're very busy. So labor's at a premium, materials costs are much higher these days, and this is just a little snippet of a couple of DOT bid tabs from their website. Anybody has access to these. But what I've done here is I took some from October of this year, and if you'll look to the left, there's items. You've got reinforced concrete in 24-inch and 30-inch, and then some surface course asphalt. So these 3 columns represent 3 different bidders. So the first bidder bid a price of $71 per linear foot for the 24-inch concrete pipe. And so if you go down here to the December 13th of last year, the low cost for that same kind of pipe was $41.19. That's a % increase in cost of 42%. And the same with the 30% reinforced concrete pipe culvert. The low bid on this tab was $84 per linear foot. That was October of this year. And then December of last year, the low price was $56, which is a price increase of 33%. And the last item, the asphalt, that's just blows my mind. So last year, this time, per ton, we were seeing a cost of $50.50. This year, the low bid in October was $1,100 a ton. That's a huge increase. And if you'll notice, all 3 of the bids are very consistent in both years. So it's just the way things are right now. But this climate has made it very difficult for engineers to get a real good estimate. You know, now we've got a little bit of history with these increased prices, so they're doing better. But it's not just the contractors and the prices of materials, it's also municipalities across the board have been having similar issues. This is a list of municipalities who have gone over budget on their Campo LAP funding, just like us. And so, we're not alone in going back and requesting additional funds, which is what the supplemental agreement is about, to get to the point. So we entered into a supplemental agreement, which now needs to be executed for additional funds to finance this project. And since it's a supplemental agreement, DOT will reimburse us for 50% of the overall price. In addition, NCDOT needs to concur with the bid award, and they won't do that unless town council approves the supplemental agreement and also concurs with the bid and awards these projects. So that's a lot of information at once, and if you have any questions, please let me know.
So we got 50/50 lately, and the 80/20 still stands in the beginning?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just checking.
So it's not replacing the 80/20. The 80/20 was the 1.2 and the 300. And
That's
then
correct.
in addition to that, it was the federal NCDOT 1.7 plus our 577.
Well, the 177 is the overall, of which we will be responsible for 50%, and they will reimburse us 50%. So 577,000 roughly is what they'll reimburse us and what we'll contribute.
Okay. So that, I guess the first part then that we had a year and a half ago, does that matter anymore, or should we only look at the new supplemental numbers?
That's right, we're looking at the new, this is to approve the supplemental agreement, so the additional 577,000.
So the
So
1.2 and the 300 is done. We're already getting that money, or that's being replaced by the supplemental agreement?
No, that we've already got that agreement is in place and it stands. And this is a supplement to that agreement, to
In addition.
supplement and supplementing the funding.
Additional costs.
So we're sharing the supplement 50/50 with DOT?
That's correct.
But the original
50/50.
agreement was a different percentage, right?
That's right.
Okay.
What is our total cost?
The total cost is,
Was that on the slide before, where
877?
you had all the different towns?
That is
Isn't that on there?
That does too.
If you go
total
back.
cost is 1.2 plus 577, so
1.7?
126,000 million, 1 point,
1.7?
yeah, yes,
1.7 million?
thank you, sorry.
That's
I
the
can do
total.
differential equations, but I can't add in my head.
And that was our total cost, right? Without the reimbursement? That's what we're paying?
That's right. That's our obligation.
The total cost for the project?
Yeah, well, that's another thing that's on the amendment here, is to approve our budget. So the budget is in your package as well, the project budget, which I did print, right? I forgot I had that. So we're looking at the total project cost of about 2.7 million, of which DOT will be reimbursing us for about 1.8 million. That's not just construction, though. That's construction and design, so the construction alone is about
2.7?
2.7, yeah, that's right.
So roughly, it's about $900,000 cost that we're coming out of
That's right.
pocket. Okay,
877, yeah.
That's right.
okay.
Project needing to be done badly. Other questions or comments?
Do we pay it all up front and then get reimbursed, or does DOT contribute at the same time?
We pay up front and then, we pay up front and then they reimburse us. They will reimburse us on a monthly basis, though, as we submit invoices to them.
Okay. And the ask is to come from street reserves?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know who the best person to answer this is, but I had sent an email about the reserve account balance. At least the last one that I had was not enough to cover this. So how are we managing that?
I
So
am
I could-
deferring to Ken.
Yeah, why don't I go ahead and try to answer that for you, Mr. Berry? With this action, it would take your street reserves balance down to $656,000. Now, having said that, there will be a piece that will be reimbursed back to the town, and that's about 1.7 million. But that'll be paid back over the course of the next 6 months, but we should have that by the end of June. So that would bring the balance at the end of the fiscal year back up to 2.4 million.
Thanks.
Does that mean from now until June, nothing else can happen, that we need the street reserves?
Well, there is another project that, on Avent Ferry, that's kind of in queue, and we may need to do some staggering, just our timing and just making sure that we manage the cash flow in the right way to be able to do that project and get the reimbursement piece back in. So I think we can manage through that, but we'll have to be smart about that.
Okay.
Other comments? Questions? Good?
Yep.
Think we're good. Motion? 1 of 4.
Motion to adopt project budget for NC 55 Sportsmanship Way project.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Number 2.
Motion to award the Sportsmanship Way construction contract to Fred Smith Company and provide $2,436,634 in funding.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Number 3.
Motion to award the Sportsmanship Way Construction, Engineering, and Inspection CEI contract to Summit Engineering and Design and provide $220,000 in funding.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. 4 of 4.
Motion to approve execution of a supplemental agreement with NCDOT for a 50/50 split of additional funding in the amount of $1,777,967 and the town's non-match amount of $577,967.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Thank you, Mary. Agenda item 10E, new business, bicycle safety road improvements, Dirk Siebenbrot. Good evening, Dirk.
I'm sorry. Good evening, Mayor Sears. Good evening, Town Council. Good evening, Town staff. Good evening, residents. Tonight, I would like to present to you the Bicycle Safety Road Improvement Project, Town Project number 18-14. Before I begin, I would like to acknowledge that we have Jackie Miller in the audience.
Hi, Jackie.
She is with the North Carolina Bicycle Club and has been a very good help, a good go-to person trying to figure out just where we start with this. And we were looking forward to work with you on many more. So welcome. So, I'm gonna start. The purpose of this project would be to inform the public about the bicycle safety, and to consider the installation of share the road signs and pavement markings along 2 miles of town roads. The requested action would be the approval of funding for this project. Why is this project necessary? Well, to begin, in 2015 alone, 818 cycling deaths were reported in the US. In 2016, that number was 840, which is the highest number since 1991. It is the law that motorists should pass at a minimum distance to the vehicles, bicycles and mopeds, that it passes. But does the traveling public, is the traveling public aware of this? That is the big question. Because a lot of motorists are probably unsure how to behave if they see a bicycle on the road. And in order to educate the public, we would make that a goal for this project to make the public aware of these laws that exist, and to improve road safety for all of our citizens. How do we start? How will it be implemented? So again, credits to Jackie Miller. We worked with the North Carolina Bicycle Club to identify 20 miles of town roadway that could potentially receive this safety measure that I will explain after this sheet. And we were planning on improving 2 miles a year of these 20 miles that are shown. So 2 miles a year doesn't seem like a lot, but just to give you a perspective, the town of Cary, they have 20 miles of roadway that has this measure in place. But per capita, if we would just do this for 2 years and have 4 miles, we'll be right there as far as roads that have a sign and a pavement marking per capita, kind of like Cary has. But just to give you an overview, the current budget would be for 3 years, which would equal 6 miles in each direction, I have to add. So this is what it's all about. What does it consist of? So basically a sign on the side of the road that would show the required distance a motorist needs to maintain when he or she is passing a bicycle, in this case 4 feet, plus a pavement marking, which would consist of 2 chevrons and a bicycle symbol. You've probably seen that driving through Apex on Salem Street. They start out with 4 signs, but now they're down to 2. And I actually contacted the town engineers, like, what is going on there? Why did you take them off? But anyhow, they just, if you want to, right now, the town of Apex has them, and I think Cary also has, of course, Cary has them too. So I was a little bit too fast here. So where will the first 2 miles be located? The first 2 miles will be located on the west side of town between the business park and the Forest Springs neighborhood. So it'll start at Thomas Mill Road on Green Oaks Parkway, then turn right onto New Hill Road, and then turn left onto the old Holly Springs Apex Road until the Forest Springs neighborhood entrance drive. And I think shortly after, if I remember this correctly, that's where the town limit is. It might expand with 12 Oaks, but these are actually 2 miles, again, chosen in close, working with the North Carolina Bicycle Club. So that is that. Next steps. After tonight, if this will be approved, is that we will start an educational information program through the town's public information office, where we'll be publish the laws, and I think we also want to do a short video kind of explaining the laws, like just saying what it's all about. Same time, the design will be completed, meaning we will show exactly where the signs and the pavement markings will be. And then after that, either a private contractor or the town's public works department will install these signs and pavement markings. And if we should come in under budget, that unused additional money will be used to actually do more than 2 miles. So that being said, the suggested motion is that to approve funding in the amount of $33,000, which includes contingency for the bicycle safety road improvements, and to approve the project budget.
Before we do that, again, Jackie, thank you for your input. I remember your presentation, quite good. It's a shame we don't have enough money to do everything all at once, but I think we listened. Questions or comments of Dirk at this point? No? All good? All good? All right, somebody hit the motion, please.
Sorry.
Motion to approve funding in the amount of $33,000, including contingency for bicycle safety road improvements, and approve the project budget.
Second.
Motion been made, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Yay, Jackie. Yay, Dirk. Yay,
It's the start.
Yay, bikes.
Thanks, Jackie.
I may put air in the tires of my bike again, I don't know. Agenda item 10F, new business, condemnation resolution, New Hill Road widening. Counselor John Schifano.
We pulled
Yes,
that.
sir. That was removed from the agenda during the
Oh,
agenda
was it? I'm
adjustment.
sorry.
So
Okay.
that matter's been resolved.
I think I had that, yeah. All right. So at this point in time, we'll go to item 11. Other business, and I'll just say again, crosswalk safety. And for those of you who use your crosswalks, don't forget to press the button.
Yeah.
Don't forget to
Oh,
press
my
the button.
goodness.
And we're going to do all kinds of information, handouts, videos, the whole thing. But when I see those lights flashing, you better believe I know when to stop, and so does everybody else.
Well, and I think what happens with that, Mayor, is people are gonna get used to those lights flashing. And then when it's late at night and someone doesn't press that and they start walking,
That's a problem.
it's a surprise. And I saw it right down here, right out front here, not too long ago. So
Yep.
it's kind of scary, but yeah, I gotta get the word out there for people to press that button. Light it up.
Well, even the crosswalks that don't have lights, I had a hard time crossing again tonight. Even if I wave down cars, they don't stop
Yeah.
at all. So it's definitely a
It's crazy, yeah.
continuing issue.
I'm not sure what else we can do, but we'll keep trying, because I bring it up every meeting, and the reason I bring it up is to make sure it's on everybody's mind that it's a crosswalk, and there's a pretty severe fine if somebody gets caught.
Mhm.
We'll leave it at that. But the real issue is, we don't want anybody to get hurt, we don't want anybody to get killed. And somebody did get hurt a few weeks ago, I think, I'm right on that, and it just shouldn't be.
With it.
So, that's my story. I'm done.
I have a couple of quick things. Let's see, last Friday, Councilman Berry and I went to Holly Springs High School, met with the civics classes that came down and presented
Yep.
some interesting things to us. It was really, their projects were very well done, well thought out. These kids don't have the fear of public speaking like I did when I was a kid, but they had some really, really neat things to say. A lot about growth, about traffic, about education. So that was it was exciting. It was really good. And then
That's great.
the foods class cooked a little Thanksgiving dinner for us. So that was yeah,
Wow.
that was for lunch.
They
Yes.
spoiled us.
Yeah, they did spoil us. It was great. And also want to remind everybody that this Friday night, day of Thanksgiving, is Holly Springs High School's football team. They're in the playoffs. It's the first game. I think it's $8 a ticket. Passes can't be used, but I want to say, is it 7 Friday night?
7:30.
7:30. Okay, at Holly Springs, it's home. It's our, this is the furthest we've ever made it. Or did no.
We've
we
made
kinda
the
did, right?
playoffs before.
Okay.
Yeah, 1 year.
But this is at home.
Yeah, it's the
So-
first home game.
Yeah, so this is at home,
First-
so we'd love to see everybody out there support Holly Springs High School Hawks. So. Okay?
What else? Who else?
Tristan?
Peter, you going to talk about?
Yeah, we all need to tune into the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade on TV, as our own Holly Springs School of Dance is sending a fairly large contingent of girls up there to dance in the parade. They do this every 3 years, I believe, and they'll be part of a larger group called the Spirit of America. And actually, Holly Springs is sending the largest group of girls to be a part of that. My own daughter as well is up there. They're all up there right now rehearsing. Very hectic schedule, but taking some time to enjoy the shows and all that. I understand they'll be coming right before Santa, so tune in,
Good time.
and
Right.
hopefully you'll
Good.
catch them,
Watch 'em.
and wish them warmth.
And I
That
think
will be
they're-
cold.
Are they in white, or is
It's
the like?
white with like blue sparkly snowflakes.
That's what I thought.
And shorts, and it's going to be cold. They're in jazz shoes. Poor things, they're going to be, because they have to go early where they stage the balloons, and they're
Yeah,
there.
they'll be
in the
waiting a
cold,
while
like at
and be
5:30.
near the end.
Yeah.
Going there to-
Yeah. Yeah, there's 45 girls, so it's pretty exciting.
Sounds good.
I would like to congratulate, we've had some great success with, this past fall with our high school programs. Our ladies golf team was conference champions. I believe it was the first time. Boys soccer was also conference champions. And with our boys' success winning the conference for the first time, like Councilwoman Lee had stated, we have an opportunity to host the state championship, not state championship, but a playoff game, first time ever, 7:30 on Friday night. So, good stuff. That's all I have.
And they'll be coming, we're hoping to invite them all these different teams to be recognized here at Town Hall, so we'll be doing that soon-ish.
Okay. Who else? Anything else? All good? Item number 12, manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have a couple items, and the first item, you all recall last week we had a conversation around your future land use and community character plan update, and I wanted to invite Gina Clapp to come up, our planning director, just to touch base on a couple of next step items with this. I thought it might be easier to talk about it in person than to try to send you an email about this, so I've asked Gina to say just a couple words about our next steps.
Sounds good.
Sure. Gave Melissa the night off. So as you know, Melissa is leading this project, and we were discussing the results in our discussions that we had last week, Tuesday. And so tonight, really what we wanted to do is to get some solidification of the process for determining our participation for both the stakeholder interviews, which is the one-time, one-hour interview slots that we're going to need to schedule, as well as participation on the Citizen Advisory Committee. And so tonight, we just want to make sure that there is confirmation and agreement on all the categories for both segments. And then also, there was some discussion that the council was interested in potentially divvying up the different categories to specific council members for official discussions with individuals, so you're not all trying to appoint people to participate in each one of these categories, because there's a lot of seats to fill in here. So the first group was the stakeholder interviewees. And so once again, these are one-time, one-hour interviews where we had internally brainstormed. We have an internal team working on the future land use and community character plan. And then administration also took a look at it, and this was the categories that we came out of. There was no specific discussion last Tuesday for any modifications for this interview group. And clarification is, if you are comfortable with these categories, do you, as the council, want to select the people that fill in these categories for the interviews, or are you comfortable with staff finding participants for this? And then if it is council, how do you want to divide this up?
As I recall, when we had the meeting, I did raise a point that I think the homeowner residence, there's only one kind of position here, and I don't know if that would span, if I think about the older, the residents have been around a long time, and some other newer residents, so I think that I would love to see more homeowners, per se, because I don't know if they would show up in some of the other categories. So I think that we don't have enough resident itself, pure resident, in this group.
So the interviews can be a wider group. That could be 5, 6, however many. It's the other stakeholder committee that's one per category, but if these are the interviews, I think we could have a couple. It could be a group interview.
Now, keep in mind, too, the stakeholder interviewees, these are the groups that probably are people that would not participate in our large community regional events, may not be around for pop-up events. So these are targeted groups that may have specific information that would really help us in formulating our land use plan. So these are one-time, once-and-done kind of interviews. And Christine, I think I'm going to quickly just go to this next one. I think it was somewhere here in the Community Advisory Committee that you were interested in having some additional residential. So the stakeholder groups really are just very, very specifically topic-oriented, if that helps. And then, you know, for the stakeholder interviews, like I said, these are the specialty topics. Residents, we hope to fill the rooms with participation for our community events. Our consultants are actually going to be here at one point in time for 5 consecutive days with open doors for participation, and it actually spans from a Thursday to a Tuesday, so they will be here all weekend on a Saturday and Sunday as well. So really trying to be open to the community and getting as many people in and seeing what's going on. So there will be many, many variety of different opportunities for our residents to get involved, if that helps.
And did we, I forget if we discussed, many of these, not all, but many of them will be also not only fit under these categories, but be residents. I mean, that's kind of where when I'm looking at, when I'm thinking of people, it's kind of what I'm going for in some of these.
There'll probably be some mix too. I can just look at a couple of these.
Yeah.
Like healthcare representatives, et cetera. Maybe you get somebody from Rex or somebody from Wake Med or whatever. Other comments, questions, recommendations? Good for now?
So do you all want to select the actual participants, or are you comfortable with staff selecting the participants?
I mean,
I think I'm comfortable with staff, but it maybe it'd be nice for us to see before.
Right,
Yeah.
get some
Sure.
input.
Agree.
Yeah.
No, I think that's smart.
Yeah, we can bring that to you before we do any formal invitations.
You give us a proposed list, and then we can come up with a couple others and combine and conquer.
Yeah, I think we could supplement definitely the resident side.
Mhm.
The other ones are probably what you would pick. We would have the same
Okay,
folks.
Okay?
good.
We will move forward with that. Thank
Yeah.
you. And then this is the actual Community Advisory Committee, that think tank group, as our consultants like to call them. And this is the group that is going to meet regularly with our consulting team. We currently have 4 meetings scheduled. There could be additional meetings as we continue through the process. And these are the people that are going to be engaged in offering opinion, discussion. There's going to be no official votes that they are going to take, but provide guidance and feedback, things that maybe they may not otherwise get from staff, and getting that outside input into the actual planning and development of the themes for this project. And so this was the group that the council last Tuesday, you all had requested that we prepare an actual application form. So we have a draft application, but before we sent it out, we wanted to once again come back and confirm that these were the categories that you were in agreement with. We had heard the concern potentially about additional resident inputs. We wanted to make sure that there was a group consensus with these categories before going out and moving forward with advertising.
Gina, on here there's no health care on this one. Is that something we should bring up or not? I'm just looking at the 10, and we had health care before, and I don't see, what am I missing?
Right, so this one is a little bit different. So this one, you do have things such as a community nonprofit representative. On here, we also have Planning Board and Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee, so there's 2 more residents that you're going to have on the board. So this committee is a different makeup than that stakeholder. If you feel that healthcare is a vital part of our future land use plan, who would you not want to be on this list in order to add them? Because our contract, we are limited to the number of members on this committee. Keep in mind also, we do have many healthcare businesses in Holly Springs.
Right.
So are they a small business owner or a large business owner? that may have a representative on this committee as
I'm
well.
thinking more about Rex coming in 2020, and would there be an opportunity for some people to add certain tweaks if necessary?
We have Rex, we have Duke, we have, you know,
And Duke
whole
is here
Our
now.
whole bio, you know.
A whole bunch.
There's a bunch, but I guess they could fall under the large business representative, we Rex.
Perhaps. Okay,
Or Securus, or-
just bring it up. What else?
Categories are fine, I think.
Yeah,
The categories are
Yeah.
fine.
articles are fine.
Okay, so we're going to move forward with getting the advertisement out tomorrow and getting an application out there. We are going to request that applications be submitted to us, I believe it is December 7th. That way we can get them scanned, put into the system, and back to you all. And we would need to have the appointments made at the December 18th Town Council meeting, because we do have meetings that are going to be held in January. So we need to make sure we don't have a first meeting in January because of the holiday. So we do need to make sure we accomplish this at December 18th. We don't know how many applications we're going to have. Is there an interest from you as council to each choose one or two categories? And when we get the applications sent out to you, you can then know who is going to be looking at which applications? Or do you want to all look at all the applications and go from there?
I can go either way as long as we have them, like, on Dropbox or something to look at. I can go either way.
Yeah, I don't have a problem if we took 2 or 3 or 1 or 2, but having access to all of them, that, I think that would be important. But, you know, there's 6 of us, or, you know,
Yeah.
we take 1 or 2. I think it's,
Mr. Harrington,
Probably
do we
best.
need to have those identified, or is that something they can just do on their own later on?
In terms of,
If they choose to do one or two each?
we can probably determine that later.
Okay.
And we would just come back to you with, maybe divvy it out, and then if you have any exceptions, we can address them as is.
What else?
I just had a question. This is part of the manager's report area. Why wasn't it somewhere else in the agenda? Because I wouldn't have expected the manager's report to have decisions being discussed, and didn't see this coming.
Yeah, well, like I said at the very start, we intended to send this out as an email, and then today, my direction to staff was it felt that it might get a little bit confusing in the back and forth on an email to try to discuss this. So I just made a judgment call to put it in on the manager's report, but in the future, we could certainly put it in a different location if that's a preference of the council.
Okay.
Okay, okay,
I'm good.
Great.
good?
So we're all going to see these. I'm particularly interested in like 1 to 4, the ones that want to make sure we have a good representation, so.
Oh, yes, definitely, we will, all of you will get all applications, and how you choose to divvy it up to actually
Okay.
do the selection,
Okay.
you can choose how to do that, so.
Okay.
But we'll definitely share them with all of you,
So we
so.
could maybe at our next workshop decide how we're gonna divvy them up.
Good?
That sound-
So you're waiting, so for like number 7, you're expecting a principal or so somebody to apply? So the application, so we might have to go and nudge some of the folks to apply that,
So these are council appointments. This isn't an official board, so it is a temporary planning committee. And so we don't know what kind of applications are actually going to be submitted. So at the end of the day, this is a guideline of who you would ultimately like to see on your committee. Is this going to be the final makeup? We don't know. And then just because somebody doesn't apply, but you know somebody that would be a great representative and we didn't have any applications, or you feel somebody would be a stronger application, you are welcome to bring in names from the outside as well. I think the application idea was because I don't think you all know, all 37,000 people in Holly Springs, that if there was somebody, and learning a little bit more about people that might express some interest.
And how, you're just gonna advertise this like you do at all our other, because I'm thinking like a Duke representative may not see, or Wake County School, I mean, I'm just wondering, are we gonna do any other kind of, like, any other way to get this out to some more specific
some of those ones, we could go knock on a few doors.
That's
and
what I
find
mean.
the
We
right
already know
people.
where they are.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Let's see
Yeah.
what we get, and then some of those ones are pretty easy to find the right.
Okay, that's why I was just wondering, instead of just going the normal route, I think we need to branch out a little bit.
Sure, yeah, there are some groups that we were talking about on how to reach out to the Home Builders Association and the residential developers, the non-residential developers. We all have different kinds of databases, so trying to send out some information, working with the Chamber of Commerce, seeing if they can get some information out. And then from Duke Energy, both for the advisory committee and the steering committee interviews, there's some specific staff members that we would like to see if they can be the primary people with that, because they're the folks that we work with regularly with economic development and site selection, those types of things. So we don't know what kind of applications will come in. This is a guideline, and you are not obligated to fill the seats as this is stated, but this is your goal.
Okay. Are you going to put in the application the time commitment that is expected for folks to participate, to help folks know what they're signing up for?
I believe it did include that, and I will make sure
Okay.
that if it didn't, that it will. And it should be about 4 meetings. They're going to be spattered within a certain timeline, so I'll make sure that's included.
Thank you.
Okay? I think we're
Great.
good.
Thank you, Ms. Clapp.
Thank
I
you.
have 2 other just real brief items. First one, as you know, Ricky Blackman is retiring on December 14th, and I'm happy to report that I've appointed Daniel Pope, who is currently our lead building inspector. He's been an employee with us for 9.5 years. He's going to be the interim director, and we will post for that position after the holidays, kind of the late winter, early spring period. So excited for Daniel to join the senior leadership team there, and of course, sorry to but we're happy for Ricky and his retirement coming up.
Yep.
The last item is, a couple weeks ago, we had continued conversation around our strategic planning efforts, and one of those components was an opportunity for you all to provide me a little bit of feedback on draft priorities and any ideas and revisions to the vision statement. So if you all could, I'd be happy to follow up with you individually, but if you could provide me any of that feedback by December 1st, that would be great, and I'll compile those for our next workshop.
Okay.
Last item, happy Thanksgiving. I hope you all have a wonderful and safe Thanksgiving, and for our staff and community as well.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Item number 13, closed session. Counselor?
I do not have anything.
No?
Mr. Mayor, council has requested a closed session to discuss town clerk personal matter pursuant to General Statute 143.318.11.
Okay.
So.
Need a
motion-
second?
You just make a motion and a second and then
Yep.
vote?
Yeah, good. Well, you got the motion.
Motion to go into closed session?
Second?
Do I hear a second?
Yeah.
Second?
Okay. Motion been made and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Go into closed session.